ArcheryTalk.com is getting a handful of flagship target bows this year for some long-term testing and comparison, and one of them is going to be the Mathews TRX 7. Jesse Broadwater, recent signee by Mathews, is shooting a TRX, and I'm hoping you're going to be able to help me figure out how to tune it and set it up so it'll shoot maybe as well as you're shooting.
Sure. Yeah, so what we have is a TRX 7 here. There's also a TRX 8 model, and then the other new flagship target bow is the Halon X Comp. It's a 37-inch bow, 7-inch brace height. So basically, when I first looked at this bow, and when I first got the bow, it's very deceiving to look at, and I've heard this from other people too, because it just looks big and heavy, and it looks like a smaller frame person couldn't shoot the bow, and that's very deceiving. As a matter of fact, it's still under 5 pounds. It's not much more weight than the Halon X Comp, so it's not a heavy bow. It looks like a long bow. So it's 40-inch axle to axle, under 5 pounds, and a very, very stable platform just because of the length of the riser. So you got cross-centric cam system on it with modules, and it's a 70% let off. Super easy to tune. One thing that I've been impressed with all the bows, and I've shot them all, is how simple they are and how easy they are to tune. You got a true knock. You're pulling from the true center of the string, so there's no vertical knock travel to it. So your knocking point, you can set it up dead square to start with. And I run my rest. I start out a little bit higher in the rest hole, so like the bottom of my shaft is about midways in the rest hole, so I'm on the upper portion of it, and that's just to kind of get the riser position, the riser angle, how it's most comfortable for you. So I'll set it up 90-degree knock point, rest a little bit high in the rest hole there, time it dead even. It's something I did play around with, was trying to time it, the top hitting first, bottom hitting first, and to me I found it just to be best time dead even. And one thing that was kind of interesting to me is how well the bow stayed in time. I'm just shooting factory zebra strings on it that came with it, nothing special, nothing that I made myself or anything, so it's factory strings. And on all three of the bows, when I timed them, I haven't had one come out of time yet. So that tells me, I don't know if it's something to do with the AVS system or what, that helps them stay in sync, a lot easier. Because I remember, years ago, the old 2-cam systems was very, very touchy. I mean, you put different hand position in the bow and it would change your timing. And it's not the case with these. So they're easy to stay in time, easy to tune, run the timing dead even. You have a little indicator here, a little fin that kind of sticks up there. And that's basically an indication of your cam rotation. And I shoot mine, you can tweak that either way. So the draw length modules come in half-inch increments. You can tweak that either way to get, what you need. You can go 1/4-inch short strung, 1/4-inch long strung if you need to. You're gonna have to adjust your poundage accordingly, but you can do that to get the exact draw length that you need. I'm running mine, just so happened my draw length with the TRX 8. I'm running the cam position right down the middle of the little indicator there, and it just works out good for me. Pulling 60 pounds and holding about 18.8 to 19 pounds, and that's where I like to be. So that's a good let off for me to get through my shot. That is one difference with this bow compared to the X Comp. The Halon X Comp is a 75% let off. So I shot that bow well, but I felt like when I picked this one up, it was a more high tension system. It was a little bit more on the back end to get me through my shot better. So this cam does have a different feel on this bow as compared to the X Comp, and it's just something I probably prefer a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, it's super easy to set up, super easy to tune. I had no problem bare shafting, different eras. I bare shafted 23s, 27s, Pro Tours, Fat Boys. They all bare shafted good with my center shot at 13/16. Cam lean was pretty much running parallel. I mean, you can take an arrow and run it down alongside the cam, and I run just a little bit of positive cam lean towards the roller guard here, so just a little bit. So maybe 1/8 of an inch or so away from it at the knocking point. On the top and bottom cam is about all I run. And the way you adjust that is with the top hat system. The top hat system is something I'm fairly new to, and basically what it is preset spacers and bushings that go actually inside the limb. So those little black spacers in there are not just little tiny, washer looking things. It's actually a whole bushing system that fits inside the limb. And then there's a 1/4-inch axle, which is nice and beefy that you're not going to bend or anything, that goes through, and then it's threaded on both ends to keep that all secured and together. And another good part about the top hat system is you're going to get the correct limb gap spacing all the time. If you use the right, the top hat system, you can get different ones. You can get them in a package, and they're always going to give you the ones that will give you the correct limb spacing to keep the limb spacing the same at the end as it is here at the limb pocket, which is pretty important. Then you got, like I said, the threaded axle on both sides to hold it all together to keep that correct limb spacing. You're not going to get any cam walk or anything. So it's really it was an eye opener for me that I didn't really have any experience with, but after playing with it for a while, it's a very solid system, and I've kind of grown to like it. So yeah, once you get that set, and you're pretty much good to go. It's been a very forgiving shooting bow for me. I mean, I'm still kind of adapting to it, and but I can tell after shooting the Iowa Pro-Am last weekend that it's a forgiving setup, because even though I wasn't, jiving with it quite as well as what I could be, just because the stabilizer's set up and little draw length tweaks that I need to do yet probably, it still just put them right in there. And I shot it really good last weekend, but it's just a fact of me getting adapted to the bow a little bit better, and I think once I do, it's going to be pretty good. So,
do you think you're going to run the same setup for indoor as you will for outdoor, as far as the same bow? You're not going to switch from the 8 to the 7 or to the Halon X Comp?
Well, when I originally started out with the X Comp, and I thought that was going to be the one. But after shooting all three of them, I found that for my draw length and the modules and everything, there's only 4 foot a second between the three bows, the 7, 8, and the X Comp. And so I'm figuring, a 40-inch bow with 8 inches of brace that's only a couple foot a second slower than the other ones. For now, that's the bow that I'm gonna, try to shoot for all of them, unless I see that for some reason, I shoot one of them better or something. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, you would think that I would go, want to shoot a little bit shorter bow and like the X Comp or something for 3D or field, but I mean, if this bow's not down on speed and it's good and forgiving, then I'm probably just going to run it for everything.